Ted Bundy?
I've never spoken to anybody about this.
I just been with the most dangerous man in the western states. Never had a clue.
It was almost as if he was on a mission.
The dispatcher said, "Sarge, we've got 2 dead and 2 dying."
Unmasking Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy, a name that strikes fear into the hearts of many, was no ordinary man. He lurked in the shadows, preying on unsuspecting victims with a chilling efficiency that baffled law enforcement and terrorized entire communities. Born Theodore Robert Bundy on November 24, 1946 in Burlington, Vermont, his childhood was shrouded in secrecy and shame. His mother, Eleanor Louise Cowell, sought to conceal the truth of his illegitimate birth.
In order to protect his mother, her parents felt that they could not acknowledge the 3 months that she had spent in the home for unwed mothers in Vermont. So he was raised believing that his grandparents were his parents, his mother was his older sister, and in his life, that had to have been very confusing to him. He didn't know who he was.
Presenting Bundy as the adopted son of his grandparents and concealing his true parentage. But behind the facade of a normal upbringing lay a sinister truth. Bundy's early years were marked by disturbing behaviors, a fascination with knives, an obsession of dissecting small animals, and a troubling lack of empathy.
His basic personality, if there was such a thing, is shy, afraid to take chances, probably afraid to give away his inner thoughts.
These early warning signs, coupled with his mother's attempts to shield him from his true origins, hinted at the darkness that lurked within. As Bundy grew, so too did his thirst for violence. His crimes escalated from theft to forcing physical intimacy and then slaying. Yet it wasn't until his arrest in February 1978 that the full extent of his depravity was brought to light. Despite his charm and intelligence, Bundy was unable to escape the long arm of the law.
It was as well planned as a military action. Every time he selected a murder to do, he had procedures that he followed. He had certain tools that he brought with him. He had everything laid out completely, and he thought through all this stuff. He did very well at getting away and avoiding being arrested and avoiding law enforcement.
Convicted of multiple slayings, he faced the ultimate punishment, demise by electric chair. Join us as we delve into the twisted mind of Ted Bundy, unraveling the mysteries of his upbringing and the chilling crimes that defined his legacy, the making of a monster.
His high school days, he was in a crowd where everybody else was a big wheel, but he never was.
We do know that he was terribly teased. He was considered not a nerd, although he was a somewhat handsome young child, but he didn't fit.
Despite his dark tendencies, Ted Bundy was no stranger to academic success.
Because he was such a handsome young man, basically overlooked any type of emptiness that was the core of him.
Graduating from the University of Washington with a degree in psychology in 1972, Bundy's intellect and charm masked the sinister depths of his psyche. Yet it was during his college years that the seeds of his depravity began to take root.
Ted was popular at the University of Washington. His professors thought he was great, that he was brilliant.
Bundy's educational pursuits were not only a facade for his twisted desires, but also a breeding ground for manipulation. His failed romance with Diane Edwards, a wealthy and influential young woman, served as a catalyst for his transformation. Enraptured by her beauty and status, Bundy saw in Edwards an opportunity to fulfill his insatiable desires for power and control.
He met the woman of his dreams, and he told me, she's everything I want. She was beautiful, she was rich, she was popular, and he was really in love with her.
But beneath the facade of affection lay a darker truth. Bundy's relationships were nothing more than tools for his manipulation, pawns in his lethal game of deceit. As he honed his charm and charisma, he mastered the art of manipulation, using his perceived vulnerability to ensnare unsuspecting victims.
She realized that Ted wasn't going anyplace. He didn't have any real, he'd talk about politics and he'd talk about being a lawyer, but he really wasn't going anyplace. He wasn't carrying out things. And she broke off with him.
While in prison, Bundy entered into a marriage with Carol Ann Boone, a mother of 2. Ted's former co-worker said it's likely Bundy was able to bribe the prison guards into letting the couple have intercourse, which may have led to Boone becoming pregnant with their daughter, Rose. The exact whereabouts of Rose remain unknown, but it is thought that she has grown into a fine young woman, shielded from the public eye to protect her privacy. Modus operandi and victimology. In the shadowy world of Ted Bundy, victim selection was a chilling art form. With a disarming smile and a silver tongue, Bundy prowled the streets, preying on unsuspecting women.
She had been in her nightgown because there was blood around the back of her nightgown. She was just gone.
His modus operandi was as deceptive as it was lethal. Feigning injury or disability, he'd approach his victims, playing on their empathy and compassion before revealing his true sinister intentions. But Bundy's reign of terror knew no bounds. His slaying spree spanned multiple states and years, leaving a trail of devastation in his wake. The question that still haunts investigators: just how many lives did he claim?
It was almost as if he was on a mission.
While Bundy confessed to over 30 slayings, some experts believe the true number could exceed 100. What's truly chilling is Bundy's indiscriminate targeting. From college campuses to quiet neighborhoods, no woman was safe from his grasp, and his methods were brutal. Many of his victims were forced into intimacy before being brutally slayed, their lives snuffed out in the most horrific of ways.
He knew he had to create access to a suitable victim. But how would he go about being able to convince this woman to come with him in the car, to walk with him some way away from where she might be socializing with her friends?
Bundy's dance with the law. In the cat-and-mouse game between Ted Bundy and law enforcement, the stakes couldn't have been higher. Bundy's encounters with the authorities were marked by daring escapes and brazen acts of defiance. His first brush with the law came in Utah in 1975 when he was arrested for possession of burglary tools, hinting at the darker crimes lurking beneath his facade of charm.
What Bundy did seemed to me to be incredibly clever. He would wear casts on his arms. He'd pretend to be injured in some way and ask for help. Now, of course, what this is doing is simply creating access. Once he has that access, he uses the opportunity that that access gives him to facilitate the kill.
But it was Bundy's audacious escapes that captured the public's imagination. In 1977, he made a dramatic leap from a courthouse window during a library visit, evading capture for 8 days.
He petitioned the courts to allow him to defend himself, and by doing so, required that they would take him out of the setting of as a normal inmate and put him into, say, the law library or places that weren't as secure as what his cell might be.
He was acting as his own counsel. He was working in the law library in the courthouse. He jumped out the window and fled.
His second escape, just months later, saw him slip through the cracks of his prison cell.
He lost weight. He was able to move aside a neon light fixture, slid up through the ceiling, went over to the ceiling of a closet into the jailer's home, and dropped in there,
sparking a nationwide manhunt that left law enforcement scrambling to apprehend him. Yet despite Bundy's cunning and resourcefulness, his luck eventually ran out. Through meticulous police work and a stroke of luck, Bundy was finally apprehended in Florida in 1978, bringing an end to his reign of terror. Trial and conviction.
Initially, he told us that his name was Ken Meisner. Then later on, he told us his name was Theodore Robert Bundy.
In criminal history, few trials have captured the public's imagination like that of Ted Bundy. His charm and intelligence were on full display as he stood trial for his heinous crimes, captivating audiences and jurors alike with his magnetic presence. Yet beneath the veneer of charm lay a cold-blooded slayer, responsible for the slayings of countless innocent victims. Bundy's trial was a spectacle unlike any other, with the nation gripped by every twist and turn of the proceedings. Despite his best efforts to manipulate the legal system, Bundy was ultimately convicted of multiple slayings and given the demise sentence not once, but multiple lifetimes over.
He thought he could create this serious doubt and that he would be found not guilty. He was very sure of himself. He asked very good questions.
But Bundy's impact extended far beyond the courtroom. His case sparked a renewed interest in criminal psychology, with experts poring over every detail of his crimes in search of answers. His name became synonymous with evil, his face plastered across newspapers and television screens as a cautionary tale of the depths of human depravity. Last words and last meal. The end came for Ted Bundy on January 24, 1989, in a stark room within the confines of Florida State Prison. Strapped into the electric chair, known ominously as Old Sparky, Bundy faced his ultimate reckoning. The putting down marked the culmination of years of legal battles and appeals, bringing closure to the families of his victims and a sense of justice to a nation haunted by his crimes. As the switch was flipped, sending volts of electricity coursing through his body, Bundy's final moments were shrouded in darkness. The public's reaction to his ending was mixed, with some celebrating the demise of a monster, while others mourned the loss of life, no matter how twisted.
He lied to his family about it. His mother and his wife at that time completely thought he was innocent.
In his last words, Bundy addressed his lawyer and a minister, expressing his love for his family and friends. His final meal, a steak, eggs, hash browns, and toast, was a fleeting taste of freedom before the ultimate price was paid. But Bundy's demise did not mark the end of his story. In demise, as in life, his legacy lived on. Scientists seized upon the opportunity to study his brain, searching for clues to the mind of a slayer. Yet despite their efforts, no definitive answers were found, leaving Bundy's motives and methods shrouded in mystery. Signing off for now. Tune in next time for another riveting episode.